Have you ever wondered if you can use your thoughts to influence others? If you follow this channel for any length of time, then you know that your thoughts are always reflected back to you by the hologram of your so-called outer experience. The law of thought transmission, or what is often referred to as telepathy, states that the vibrational energy of our thoughts influences the thoughts, emotions, and actions of others. Basically because those others are aspects of ourselves. In other words, telepathy is the act of transferring our thoughts, and our thoughts cause others to reflect back to us experiences that mirror what we are dominantly thinking. There are a few methods mentioned on YouTube that have gained popularity for this, but I'm going to show you a little later in this video exactly how to do this in a much more powerful way than you've probably heard of, that manifests amazing results. In fact, you already do this all of the time, but you can intentionally do it to manifest outcomes that you prefer. But first, telepathy and thought transmission are not new concepts. They may be concepts that are not widely accepted as they once were, but this ability has ancient roots, has been talked about by many thought leaders, and even has been given attention by agencies such as the CIA. From the book Spiritual Telepathy by Colleen Morrow, she states, "This teaching can be found in a wide variety of cultures, both ancient and modern. In every culture, the area around the solar plexus is key. The kahunas, the native priests of Hawaii, believe that telepathic messages are sent directly from one solar plexus to another. According to the kahunas, the aka, or etheric body of one person sends out a finger or thread of aka substance to the solar plexus of another. This sticky substance connects the two like a silver spider web. Telepathic messages are sent out along these threads. After the instinctive or low self receives the message, it relays the information to the rational or middle self, where it rises in the mind, like a memory. When repeated contact is made, these threads eventually become braided into aka cords, which creates a strong telepathic bond between two people. Aka threads can be sent to strangers by means of a glance or a handshake. The African Bushmen communicate in a similar way. As anthropologist Bradford Keeney discovered, the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert believe that all living creatures are connected by a silver stream of energy that extends from one belly button to another. The Bushmen use these horizontal lines like telephone wires to send and receive telepathic messages. The Australian Aboriginals believe it is their miwi that makes it possible for them to see or hear at a distance. Miwi, a word that translates as soul or instinct, is located in the pit of the stomach. Passed from one parent to child, the miwi is present in everyone, but it is particularly strong in their medicine men, who use it to cast out illness and visit the spirits of the dead. A strong miwi also makes it possible to see visions and predict future events. Thought leaders such as William Walker Atkinson and Neville Goddard also spoke about the law of thought transmission. William Walker Atkinson dedicated an entire book to this subject entitled Telepathy, the Theory, Facts, and Proof. And Neville Goddard dedicated a section on this law in his book Prayer, the Art of Believing. In Neville's book, he states, "A friend 1,000 miles away is rooted in your consciousness through your fixed ideas of him. To think of him and represent him to yourself inwardly in the state you desire him to be, confident that this subjective image is as true as it were already objectified, awakens in him a corresponding state which he must objectify. The results will be as obvious as the cause was hidden. The subject will express the awakened state within him and remain unaware of the true cause of his action. Your illusion of free will is but ignorance of the causes which make you act. Prayers depend upon your attitude of mind for their success, and not upon the attitude of the subject. The subject has no power to resist your controlled subjective ideas of him, unless the state affirmed by you to be true of him is a state he is incapable of wishing as true of another. In that case, it returns to you, the sender, and will realize itself in you." Although this may seem unbelievable to a mind that is not open to this concept, it has been proven many times over to be true. And we do this all of the time with the thoughts that we think. How often have you thought of someone, and then they reach out to you, or then you run into them, or they tell you they were just thinking about you in that exact moment? In this same book of Neville's regarding the law of thought transmission, he states that time and space are obsolete when it comes to this universal law. Distance, as it is cognized by your objective senses, does not exist for the subjective mind. Time and space are conditions of thought. The imagination can transcend them and move in a psychological time and space. Although physically separated from a place by thousands of miles, you can mentally live in the distant place as though it were here. Your imagination can easily transform winter into summer, New York into Florida, and so on. Whether the object of your desire be near or far, results will be the same. Subjectively, the object of your desire is never far off. Its intense nearness makes it remote from observation of the senses. It dwells in consciousness, and consciousness is closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. In regards to time and space being irrelevant, there's another source that speaks to this quite directly and a bit more recently. In 1983, the CIA wrote an analysis about the Gateway experience that claimed many things, including that an altered state of human consciousness could very likely transcend time and space. This investigation was originally undertaken to determine whether concepts of mind control and hypnosis could be used in espionage efforts. The paper states that by strengthening the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemispheres so as to alter consciousness, one can move it outside the physical sphere so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The report, which I'll leave a link to in the description of this video, discusses the universe being a system of interacting energy fields with variations of energy that create different states. It connects human consciousness as being one of these vibrational patterns of energy and states that that energy can move beyond the physical reality and tune into the pure energy field to alter reality via connecting with the other energy available. It is our etheric, energetic body that has the ability to both send and receive telepathic messages, or what is referred to as thought transmission. We may not yet understand all of the abilities and/or limitations of telepathy, but it has been discovered that thought transmission does not require a physical connection between two people. There are many experiments and studies that can be found on this subject with a simple search, a large number of which show that thoughts can and have been transmitted across great distances, and even between people who have never physically met. So if you're here, you probably want to transmit a thought or two. Here I'm going to tell you how to do that, with two very powerful methods. Remember that it can take a little practice to target this properly when doing so in an intentional way. And if you have a friend that you can apply these concepts with to test and prove them to yourself, you may find that both helpful and fun. But it's not totally necessary, as you actually transmit your thoughts all of the time. Now you're going to learn how to do it deliberately. For these processes, you first want to decide exactly who you are conveying your thought transmission to, as well as exactly what you're going to convey to them. Be precise and clear about this. Ask yourself, what outcome are you aiming to achieve? Remember what Neville said in his book about this. The subject has no power to resist your controlled subjective ideas of him unless the state affirmed by you to be true of him is a state he is incapable of wishing as true of another. In that case, it returns to you, the sender, and will realize itself in you. In other words, this process is intended to be used in ways that are lovely and that produce a wonderful outcome for this person. What you do to or wish upon another, you also do to and wish upon yourself. So use these methods wisely. Once you've decided what your message is and who you're going to convey it to, bring that person to mind and imagine that you're staring at one another. As you're doing this, look deeply into the area between their eyebrows and speak your message into this area where all intuitive messages are received. If you are a visual person, you might want to imagine the words seeping into their mind via this energy center. And when speaking your message, you may choose to do this either verbally or just mentally. With this mental construction, you are transferring or transmitting the thoughts into the mind of this individual through the intuitive energy center of the third eye chakra. Doing this one time is sufficient per imaginal act. However, some individuals like to repeat their message several times. Do whichever feels most comfortable to you and your belief systems. Just don't do it if it feels like a chore, otherwise you're adding resistance to the entire process. Once you've completed this, imagine this person responding in the manner that you would expect them to respond to this thought, as if your wish with and for them is fulfilled. This may happen telepathically, or you may hear them say these things to you with their spoken word. Again, whichever suits you and your belief systems is perfectly fine. I recommend running through this process once or twice per day for about 5 to 10 minutes until you see your evidence show up in your physical reality. You can also do this as you drift off to sleep for a deeper impression on the subconscious mind, remembering that all subconscious minds are energetically connected as one. The next way to do this is quite simple, but also very powerful. Simply write what you want to say to this other person on a sheet of paper or in a journal. Keep this brief if you can, and then put these words in front of you and stare at them in a meditative state. You may want to get into a light alpha state, and I'll leave a link in the description of this video with a process that I have that shows you exactly how to do this. And then imagine that these words are floating off the page and reaching the person that they are intended for. Or you can imagine this person reading something that has your exact words written on it, as if while you're reading it, so are they. Again, take about 5 to 10 minutes to focus your attention on this, and then move on with your day. Throughout your day, you may receive flashes of intuitive thoughts that this person has received your message until it becomes a physical manifestation. It's becoming much more commonly accepted that we can tune into our intuitive abilities to access and convey information in means that reach beyond our 5 physical senses. Our 5 physical senses are wonderful for the experience of the physical world. But we have other worlds that we can access with our other senses. Worlds that allow us to perceive our existence and experiences in expanded ways. And once trained, our mind becomes the lens through which we get to experience these other worlds. Telepathy and thought transmission are merely tools of our mind, and when used properly, they can assist us in manifesting life in more intentional and dynamic ways.